Guys, I'm back with another video on this channel. My name's Alessandra. For the people that don't know me, that haven't seen my other previous videos that I've done, I started in quarantine this project, and all videos are based on spirituality, psychology, self-development, self-love, and how to live a happier and more fulfilled life. Today I'm extremely excited to do my video on the 5 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. There's a previous version of this book called The 4 Agreements that is known all over the world. It is a bestseller. And the reason why it is because people that apply these concepts, first of all, they know that they'll live more happier and more fulfilled life, and also they just feel better within, and so therefore their relationships also with the outside world improves. So I thought, since this book is such a great book and there's a revised version with a 5th agreement added, and I think it's just as important as the first 4, I thought, why not do a video sort of going through each one and explaining sort of what it means for me and how applying it has helped me, and hopefully it can help you guys if you guys end up reading the book. By the way, I'll link the book to below my video, and you can either buy a Kindle or regular paperback version. I prefer paperback because I feel like it really helps me sort of disconnect from the outside world and from our technology, and just take your time and just reading and going into another dimension sort of. So without further ado, I'm going to go through the 5 agreements and the 5 agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. So the first agreement is be impeccable with your words. That means not only it's being impeccable with your word with the outside world, but it's also, more importantly, being impeccable with your word to yourself. So that means you speak with integrity and follow through with what you say, and also say what you mean. Do not say one thing and mean another. And so if you put that right intention of speaking with integrity, whether that is keeping a promise, saying something that you mean, and then following through with it, then first of all, you earn respect, because people know that at the end of the day, you don't just talk about it, you are about it. And I think that's a really important agreement to live by, more often than not. And I think we're all sort of, I don't want to say guilty of it because it's so pejorative, but we've all had those mishaps where we'll say one thing and not follow through, or we'll promise and then sort of be a flake or wishy-washy about stuff. And I think it's important to really, if you're not going to say or do something, just don't say it, and then, because then people also not take you as seriously if you don't follow through. So I think being impeccable with your word is number 1, and it is one of the most important ones. Now the second agreement is do not take anything personally. And why is this a tough one? Because I think we all come with our childhood trauma, baggage, education, experiences, and we're all different and we've all lived different experiences. So it's really important that whatever happens in terms of relationships with other people or experiences, do not get attached to those experiences and to make it all about you. Number 1, because that's egotistical. At the end of the day, it's not about your ego. When you take things personally, your ego is getting getting affected, and it's not your essential self. And I think I've spoken about ego in other videos, in my 1st and 3rd and 4th, but it's whenever something either bad or good happens, it's not really about you. Like, at the end of the day, if you take things personally, if someone does something and it hurts you to a point where it's unbearable or it causes suffering, then they're triggering something within you that is not completely healed or repaired. So in that case, then if it really does affect you, then maybe it's good to look within. However, because I don't think we're completely immune to the outside world, I think there are triggers that help us learn about ourselves. However, if someone acts mean to you and you haven't done anything wrong, it's not about you. It's more likely than not all about them. And that's why everyone thinks it's a cliche phrase to say, it's not you, it's me. But it's actually true. When someone doesn't behave in a nice way, or they speak to you badly or with disrespect, they're more often than not talking about themselves, and it doesn't have anything to do with you and your self-esteem or self-worth. And I think I've struggled with that in the past because I feel I am a very sensitive person, but I feel like I'm getting better with that, you know, and just sort of knowing how to divide and separate what's yours and what's the other person's. And I think when you learn to not absorb, then things get better, and you also improve your self-esteem, because that means that you know how to block out stuff that isn't necessarily positive for you. So do not take things personally. When people are being mean, when they're talking about themselves, they're not talking about you. And the more immune that you are to that, the better you're off, because then you'll be happier and you won't be conditioned so much by the outside world. The third agreement is don't make assumptions, don't interpret, you can have a hunch, you can have an intuition, but it's always important to go and validate that intuition, whether that be with a friend, an experience. Do not interpret things, because we interpret with our own perception and not necessarily what the actual truth is, what the facts are. So don't be afraid of rejection. If you think someone thinks something and you feel that it's necessary for you to understand it, depending on the relationship you have with the person, or with, I know, if it's an experience, then go and validate, go and ask. Don't be afraid to ask, because at the end of the day, you could save yourself a lot of pain from just asking and then see if it does correspond to what your hunch was or not. But do not interpret. It's super, super important. And again, I think we've all done it in the past. We will keep doing it, but it's important to really recognize that and sort of work on that. The fourth agreement is always do your best. Now, always do your best doesn't mean that it has to be flawless every single time, because doing your best is also according to your best for that day. You know, if you wake up that day and you're not feeling great, then your best is not going to be as high as when you feel great and full of energy, and you're bubbling with energy, so you have a lot more to give. Just be kind to yourself and understand that not every single day is going to be the same, and you're going to have outside factors that will sort of influence that. So be mindful of it and cut yourself some slack, because, you know, especially for the perfectionists, I think it's something that everyone struggles with. And also during quarantine now, everyone's like, okay, well, I should be more productive, this and that, and I haven't been as productive as I thought I would be. So keep that in mind. You know, these are tough times, but it's important to know that if you do your best that day, then that's all you can ask of yourself. And the fifth one is be skeptical, but learn to listen. So I think it's important, it goes back to agreements and absolute truth. Everyone's got their perception of the world, and doesn't mean because someone says something on the outside that it's the absolute truth, because again, they're seeing things from their perspective. So it's important to really listen and sort of decipher what is the actual truth for you, and sort of, just take in, but doesn't mean that you necessarily have to agree with it. And I think that's a really important one. At least that's what I have learned from this agreement. And then obviously, if you guys read the book, you'll have your own interpretation. That doesn't mean that's the absolute truth. And Don Miguel Ruiz talks about that. And the mastery of self, mastery of love, and attachments. Do not get attached to beliefs, ideas. Do what works for you. It doesn't mean that's the ultimate truth, but if it works for you, then great. That's all that matters in life. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and that the agreements have become clearer. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you don't, then you know what to do. And if you want to see more videos and keep seeing updated videos in the upcoming weeks, then just press subscribe. And if you have any feedback, comments, or things that you want to share, or you think if you want to see other videos on topics that are interesting to you, I would be more happier. I would be happy to do them. So just leave a comment in the comment box below. And I hope you have a great day, and sayonara. Bye-bye.